Discovering the hidden truth, a heartwarming journey of a man exposed to life-changing betrayal. Jake had spent his life in grease-stained overalls, surrounded by the comforting clinking of tools and the steady hum of engines. In Cedarwood, everyone knew each other's name, their troubles a shared burden. Jake was the go-to mechanic, the steady hand everyone relied on. But one evening, as he tightened the last bolt on a sputtering engine, a sense of dread washed over him. It was just a glance at the ledger that twisted his stomach into knots. The numbers didn't add up. They were off, too far off to be a mistake. And in that moment, it pierced through him the realization that his lifelong friend, Tom, had been pilfering from their shop, taking what little they had without a second thought. Jake's heart plunged. Betrayal does that. It carves a hollow place inside you, wound that feels like a glacier creeping into your chest. He sat on the old wooden stool, his mind racing. Loyalty was his family's creed, etched into his very soul by his parents. His mother always said that forgiveness was a strength, while his father, a firm yet fair man, preached that honor was worth more than gold. But how could he forgive a betrayal that was so personal? Could he even look Tom in the eye again? At family dinner that night, the sound of silverware clinking on plates was drowned out by an invisible tension hanging in the air. His mother served meatloaf, but Jake barely touched it. Instead, he watched his younger siblings, their carefree laughter echoing around the table, a stark contrast to his tightening chest. What if I lost it all? He thought, the weight of his uncertainty pressing down like a heavy blanket. He needed to confront Tom. The anticipation bubbled within him like a shaken soda bottle. They agreed to meet at the classic diner, the same place where they had shared dreams and plans for their shop, back when hope seemed infinite. As he entered the dimly lit diner, the aroma of fried food mixed with the warm chatter of familiar faces, creating a bittersweet ambience. When Tom arrived, the atmosphere shifted. The weight of unspoken words hung between them. Jake felt like he was staring at a ghost, a silhouette of the boy he once knew. Tom's eyes were filled with something that looked like guilt, the tightness of his jaw revealing the inner turmoil he had hidden for too long. Each admission from Tom was like a punch, revealing the insecurities that had driven him to betrayal, the fear of failure, the desperate need to keep up in a world that felt unforgiving. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, the door to the diner swung open. A group of community members, faces bright with kindness and familiar smiles, flooded in. They filled the diner with warmth, rallying around Jake. They spoke of hard work and support, igniting a glimmer of hope he thought was lost forever. He was at a crossroads now, feeling the push and pull of loyalty clashing with a deep need for justice. Could he find it in his heart to forgive Tom? Or would the weight of betrayal force him to cut ties and stand alone? Jake's heart raced. The thought of losing his friend was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. Deep down, he knew the answer was not straightforward. It was a tangled web of emotions that could lead to redemption or a heartbreaking decision that would change everything. Jake sat at the diner booth, the weight of the world pulling him downward. The chatter around him felt like an echo in a long-abandoned corridor. While families laughed and friends shared stories, he was enveloped in a cloud of confusion and hurt. He tried to focus on Tom, who shuffled in his seat, fingers tapping nervously against the vinyl. Jake, Tom started, but the words teetered on the edge of a precipice, ready to fall into the abyss. I messed up. I don't even know where to begin. Why did you do it? Jake's voice emerged softer than he intended, laced with hurt. It felt raw, like dragging his heart across gravel. Tom looked away, unable to meet his friend's gaze. I was scared. Scared of losing the shop, scared of failing. His voice cracked, and Jake saw that insecurity reflected back at him. I didn't think it would go this far. The weight of Tom's words hit harder than Jake expected. It unspooled memories of late-night talks about their dreams, when they were just two kids with limitless ambition. Had that boy, the one who always stood beside him, really become someone who would betray their shared future? I trusted you, Jake said, the fire of betrayal yielding to a flicker of understanding. We had each other's backs. It was supposed to be you and me against the world. I know. I know. Tom exclaimed, his frustration spilling over. But when I saw the bills piling up, I panicked. I thought I could make it right without you finding out, and then it spiraled. Jake finished for him, his throat tight. Tom nodded. The weight of regret was palpable between them, heavy, like a storm about to break. Jake felt his anger simmer down, but not without a haunting sorrow taking its place. His heart ached for his friend, caught in a web of his own making, a web Jake had woven with trust. Maybe we can fix this, Tom said, his voice so soft it was nearly lost in the bustle surrounding them. I want to make things right. I'm willing to work overtime, to put in my own money. Whatever it takes. Jake studied him closely. Was this the act of a desperate man or the first steps toward redemption? The thought of reconciliation brought a flicker of hope against the looming shadow of betrayal. Yet, the path of forgiveness was crooked, littered with shards of broken trust. Tom. Jake began, uncertain. Just then, the door swung open again, and in walked his father, John, the silhouette steadfast and familiar. An air of purpose radiated from him as he took in the scene. Hey, Jake, he called out, his voice like a comfort thread woven through the tension. Mind if I join you? Jake hesitated, feeling exposed. Then, he nodded. Maybe this wasn't just about him and Tom. Maybe it was time for a broader conversation, a moment that could change everything. John settled into the booth, his eyes flicking between the two men. What is going on? He asked, sensing the charged atmosphere. Jake took a deep breath, the words ready to spill out. Dad, Tom needs your help. As he began to describe the situation, he felt a wave of vulnerability crash over him. Jake was uncertain how John would react, torn between his role as a father and the hard lessons he often discussed. Would Tom's path to redemption be enough to sway the heart of a father known for his unwavering integrity? The diner buzzed with life around them. But within that small booth, time held its breath, waiting for the answer. John's brow furrowed as he absorbed Jake's words. The stillness in the booth felt almost tangible, seeping into the noises of the diner, the clatter of dishes and the hum of conversations dimming in the background. Tom, John said, his voice low and steady, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Mistakes have consequences. He leaned back, crossing his arms, evaluating both young men with a discerning gaze. But Jake interrupted, desperation threading through his tone. Dad, he messed up. But he's trying to fix it. I believe he can turn things around. Tom looked up, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. I swear, Mr. Anderson, I'll do whatever it takes. I can't lose the shop. It's everything I've worked for, everything Jake and I dreamed about. I promise I'll work harder than ever, just please what, Tom? John's voice rose slightly. You want another chance? That's not something to go tossing around lightly. Trust isn't just given, it's earned. The weight of those words settled in the air. Jake felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He'd always admired his father's principles. But this moment felt personal, too raw, too close to home. Let me show you, Tom pleaded, determination flashing across his face. I already made the plans to get us back on track. We can sell some old inventory, cut unnecessary costs. I just need the chance to prove it to you. John sighed, the tension in his shoulders visibly easing. You're in deep waters here, Tom. But if you're serious, we can talk about a path forward. But I need to know you're committed, not just to the shop but to the entire team, including Jake. In that instant, Jake could feel the fragile thread of hope weaving itself through the conversation. Maybe this could actually work. But moments later, self-doubt uncoiled within him. What if Tom couldn't bounce back? What if this was just a hollow promise dressed in desperation? "Dad, I want to believe him," Jake said, his heart straining with the weight of his words. "We've been through so much together. He just needs a chance to make it right. Let us not punish him forever." John began, looking at him as if trying to see the man he had raised. "Forgiveness is one thing, but blind trust can lead to more hurt." Tom opened his mouth but hesitated. "I understand if you're skeptical, Mr. Anderson. Just give me the opportunity to prove myself. This shop isn't just a business to me, it's family." A flicker of hope ignited in Jake. Could moments of crisis lead to transformation? John's expression softened slightly, clearly wrestling with conflicting emotions. After a long pause, he finally broke the silence. "All right. We can start with a plan. But it's going to require transparency. No more secrets. You'll have to share every detail." The relief washed over Tom, melting some of the ice that had formed in the booth. "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." As they discussed the next steps, the diner slowly returned to life around them, the distant chatter becoming a comforting backdrop. For the first time since he entered, Jake felt a glimmer of hope tugging at him, a whisper that maybe they could weather this storm. But as he looked at Tom, that glimmer was mixed with a fear that gnawed at him. Did hope mean risk? How many chances could they afford? Just as the conversation started to settle into a rhythm, a loud crash echoed from the diner's entrance. Jake turned, heart racing, to see a figure burst through the doors. It was Claire, his sister, and she was pale, her eyes wide with panic. "Jake, you need to come home. It's Mom, she's in trouble." A chill swept over him as the room suddenly fell silent. The future he had just started to envision felt suspended in the air, fragile and uncertain. What would he face when he left this booth? Jake's mind raced as Claire's words settled like stones in his stomach. 1,000 questions surged through him, each one heavier than the last. What could happen to Mom? Was she hurt? And why hadn't she called him herself? In the booth, Tom and John exchanged concerned glances, but all Jake could focus on was the fear etched into Claire's face. "Let us go," he said, his voice firm even as his heart pounded wildly. He sprang from the booth, the remaining plates nearly untouched, and followed Claire outside. A gust of wind met them, chilling Jake to his bones. He could feel that the warmth of their discussion had faded, replaced by a frigid uncertainty that gnawed at his insides. Claire led the way to the car, glancing back nervously, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her sweater. "I don't know what happened, Jake. She just told me to get you. Please hurry." Each step felt like a countdown. What if he was too late? As they reached the car, Claire unlocked it and jumped in, Jake followed. He barely registered the drive, his mind hauntingly blank. The blocks passed in a blur, each street lamp casting eerie shadows outside as his thoughts tormented him with worst-case scenarios. When they arrived home, the familiar facade of their house looked strangely foreign. The front door was slightly ajar, swinging gently on its hinge. Panic surged through him. "What is going on?" he asked. "Just be careful," Claire whispered, fear etched in her features. Jake nodded, pushing the door open. "Mom," he called out, the sound echoing in the stillness. The living room was dimly lit, the usual warmth replaced by an emptiness that gripped at his heart. As he stepped further inside, the scent of something acrid tickled his nostrils. He followed the sound of muffled voices drifting in from the kitchen. Jake entered the kitchen cautiously. There was his mother, trembling, seated at the table. Across from her stood a man he didn't recognize, anger twisting his features. "Get out of my house!" Jake's mother exclaimed, her voice shaking but firm. Jake's heart dropped as he noticed the crumpled bills scattered across the table. "Just hear me out," the stranger shouted. "You're making a huge mistake here." "Who is he, Mom?" Jake barked, stepping protectively in front of her. The man turned, surprise flashing across his face, then quickly morphed into disdain. "Just a friend," the man retorted scornfully. "Friend? Is that what you call someone you drag into our lives, causing trouble?" Jake shot back, fists clenching at his sides. He felt Claire's arm brush against his, her fear mingling with the rising anger in his chest. "Jake, please," his mother pleaded, her voice cracking. "You don't understand. No, you don't understand." He interrupted, his voice rising. "I came home because Claire said you were in trouble. This doesn't look like a simple argument." The man stepped forward, a sneer playing on his lips. "This doesn't concern you, kid. Then why are you in my home?" Jake snapped back, the heat coursing through him. His eyes darted back to his mom, searching for an explanation, but all he found was fear and shame reflected in her gaze. "Please, just go," she whispered, desperation swelling in her voice. "I'll handle this." Jake felt the room spin, emotions colliding inside him like storm clouds. He wanted to protect her, but the chaos was overwhelming. Had this man caused his mother pain? What had she gotten herself into? As the tension thickened, Jake's phone vibrated in his pocket, an unexpected intrusion into the volatile atmosphere. He pulled it out to see a message from Tom, "I'm here for you, whenever you need." But in that moment, Tom and the diner faded from his thoughts. His focus narrowed down to the man standing defiantly in front of him, and the mother he felt he was losing. Did she truly need him? The silence snapped. "Mom, we're a team. Whatever this is, we get through it together." But before she could respond, everything shifted. A loud noise erupted outside, drawing everyone's attention. Jake's heart sank as he realized it was a police siren wailing in the distance, closing in, and the looming sense of impending change hit home. "Mom, what's going on?" he demanded, urgency coursing through him. Would the truth they uncovered bring them together, or tear them apart? Jake's heart raced as the wail of the siren grew louder, filling the air with an urgency that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. The man in front of him sneered, but Jake barely noticed, his eyes locked on his mother. She sat at the table, frozen in fear, her eyes darting from Jake to the intruder. "Mom, it's okay," he said, trying to infuse warmth into his voice, though it came out strained. He wanted to assure her, to tell her everything would be all right, but the growing tension in the room made it feel like a lie. The siren blared again, closer now, and Jake couldn't help but think of all the times they had sat around this table, laughing, telling stories. This table had been a sanctuary, a place of safety. Now, it felt like a battlefield. "Get out!" Jake shouted again, stepping further into the kitchen, alerting the man that he wasn't going to back down. "You don't belong here." The stranger laughed, a cold, mocking sound that sent a shiver down Jake's spine. "You think you can protect her?" he spat. "You don't know what you're dealing with. What did you do to her?" Jake's voice was raw with emotion, desperation fueling his resolve. "Enough." Jake's mother finally broke her silence. Her voice was steady, but her eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "Just go. I'll handle this." "Mom, no. You can't handle him alone," Jake urged, feeling the weight of her fear slip into him like ice water. The stranger took a step back, raising his hands in mock surrender. "Fine, keep your little family act. But you're in over your heads. You don't know what's coming." His scornful smile widened, but Jake could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Suddenly, another loud blast from the police sirens pierced through the air. Jake felt the floor shift beneath him, as if the reality of the situation was starting to crumble. "Mom," he said again, softer now, hoping to reach her. Tell me what is going on. We need to talk about this. We can figure it out together, like we always have. Tears started to roll down his mother's cheeks. She looked at him, raw and vulnerable, and for a moment, the chaos faded. Jake, her voice broke. I was trying to protect you. The stranger took that opportunity to laugh mockingly. Protect him? From what? The truth? Shut up. Jake yelled, his vision blurring with rage. This man was a threat to everything he held dear. Yet his mother's expression shifted to one of hardened determination. No, Jake. You have to listen. This isn't about you. It's about me. About mistakes I've made. Before she could continue, the sounds of heavy footsteps approached from outside, the uniformed officers arriving, breathing life back into the heavy atmosphere. Jake's heart sank deeper. Whatever truth his mother was desperately trying to convey would be interrupted, shattered by the looming intervention of the police. The kitchen door swung open. 2 officers stepped inside, their eyes quickly taking in the scene. What is going on here? One of them demanded, hand resting on his belt. Jake turned to his mother, instinctively reaching for her hand. Mom, please tell them. Tell them everything. But she hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes as the officers stepped closer. Would she reveal the hidden truths, or protect the past that had led them here? As silence blanketed the kitchen, Jake felt like he was teetering on the edge of something monumental. Would the police uncover the truth, or would they become just another obstacle in this spiraling chaos? He couldn't shake the feeling that the next few moments could change everything forever. He thought about Claire waiting behind him, heart racing, not knowing how far this could all go. Just as the air thickened with uncertainty, his mother opened her mouth to speak, but the words that would come out might shatter their lives forever or save them. What would she choose? Mom, please. Just Jake's words got tangled in his throat as he felt the weight of the room pressing in. The officers eyed the strange man in their midst, and Jake could sense that every second stretched longer than the last. Someone's been hurt. We need to know what is going on now, one of the officers urged. He looked from Jake to his mother, trying to gauge the situation. The intruder took a step back, hands raised slightly, but his laughter pierced through the tension. You really think they can help you? You're all about to find out just how deep this goes. Shut up. Jake snapped again, rage and fear coiling tightly in his chest. He felt his mother's hand squeezing his own, a lifeline in this storm. She needed to say something, anything, before the truth slipped away under the weight of the moment. Please, she pleaded, her eyes locking onto the officers. I can explain everything. A collective breath seemed to suspend in the air as she took a shaky step forward, breaking from Jake's grasp. The intruder's smile faltered. You don't know what you're doing, he hissed. Watch me, she shot back with a courage Jake hadn't seen before. This was a side of his mother he hardly recognized, fierce and defiant. I grew up on secrets, Jake, she continued, her voice steadying as she faced the officers. And I thought I could protect you from them. But holding them in it only made things worse. Jake's heart pounded faster. Memories flashed through his mind, the ghost of late-night phone calls, half-heard whispers, the expensive gifts he never understood. What had she been hiding from him? The truth is, she started, but the intruder lurched forward, his expression now one of panic. No. Don't do this. You think they can save you? The officers stepped closer, their eyes narrowing. We need you to step outside, one said to the intruder, voice firm. But the man refused to budge. Jake! The man yelled suddenly, locking eyes with him. Don't let her feed you her lies. The truth will destroy you. A shiver of fear trickled down Jake's spine. He wanted to scream back, but unease crept into his mind. What if he wasn't ready for whatever truth lay hidden? Clarity flickered like a candle in the wind. Mom, he breathed, desperate for answers. You can't let him, not now. I'm trying to protect us both, she replied, her voice raw. She glanced at the officers, then returned her focus to Jake. It's not just me that's been in danger. The choices I made affected more than just you. Jake felt the ground shift beneath him. The room, once a sanctuary, felt like it was collapsing. Would the police even believe her? Would they understand how deep the roots of this betrayal ran? As she began to speak again, her voice breaking the silence, a loud crash interrupted them. The front door burst open, and more officers flooded into the house. They were armed and ready, focused on the escalating chaos. "Step away from the suspect," one shouted, pointing at the intruder. Tension ricocheted off the walls like ricocheting bullets, and Jake could hardly breathe. His mother's face was pale, fear etching deeper lines into her features. "Mom! You need to tell them the truth," Jake implored, but fear choked his voice. What if they never got the chance? His mother nodded, determination fueling her next words. "I can't keep running from this, I can't live in denial anymore." And just like that, the world shifted. The very foundation of their lives was hanging by a thread. Would she find the strength to reveal what had been hidden for too long? Could this confession carve a path toward their salvation or lead them both deeper into danger? In that moment, Jake realized he had a choice: to stand with his mother or let the darkness take hold. Could he be brave enough to face the truth alongside her? As everything teetered on the brink, Jake felt time slow down, every heartbeat a question. What did he really want, and how far was he willing to go to protect the ones he loved? The sirens wailed again, but the loudest sound was the thud of his own racing heart. In that charged atmosphere, a new decision loomed over all of them, one that could undo the threads of the past or weave a new future. It hung in the air, begging for resolution, and it all depended on this moment. Could they uncover their shared truths before it was too late? The intruder's eyes flickered between Jake and his mother, a storm of emotions swirling within him. The air thickened with tension, every heartbeat echoing louder as the chaos unfurled around them. Jake could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him, as if 1,000 unspoken words hovered closer than ever, waiting to burst free. "Just tell them," the man hissed, desperation lacing his tone. "You don't understand what you're about to unleash. You really think your little confession will protect him?" Jake clenched his fists, fighting against the pain coursing through him. "Stop!" he shouted, the rawness of his voice slicing through the air. He turned to his mother, searching her face for reassurance, for a sign that they could get through this together. The moment hung heavy around them, and for a split second, nothing else existed. "Mom, you have to," he began, but a single tear slipped down her cheek, glistening in the light. She looked older in that moment, wearied by years of hidden truths and the burden of choices made long ago. "Jake, I need you to trust me," she said, her voice trembling but steadfast. "I never wanted this to be your reality. I thought silence would keep you safe." The officers shifted, glancing at each other as the urgency pulsated through the room. One knelt, scanning the floor for evidence of confusion among the chaos, but the other stood guard, eyes locked on the intruder. Jake sensed the restless energy like a heartbeat, it urged him forward. With a deep breath, Jake turned back to the intruder. "You think you can control this? You've hurt people. You're not in charge here." He felt an unexpected swell of courage washing over him, the need to protect his mother amplifying every word. "No, you don't know anything." The stranger shot back, bitterness bleeding into his voice. "You think the truth is what you want? The truth is a knife, Jake. It cuts deep." His words lingered, raw and jagged. Jake's heart raced. Was the man really trying to intimidate him? Or was there more to the story? He glanced at his mother again. She nodded subtly, a spark of resolve igniting the dim hope within him. "Then let it cut," Jake declared, a fierce light igniting in his chest. "Let us get everything out in the open. I want to know what you've kept from me. From us." The atmosphere shifted, heavy dread mixing with something else: bravery. His mother's grip tightened around his hand. In that moment, they were bound together in a struggle against the darkness that had shadowed their lives for too long. "Okay," she said, voice unwavering now although the tremor still lingered. "It's time. I'll tell you everything." She took a deep breath, her resolve swelling as clarity flickered in her eyes. But just then, the intruder broke in, a manic smile spreading across his face. "You want the truth? Fine. But be prepared, it might shatter your world." Before anyone could grasp the weight of his words, he lunged forward toward Jake, toward the officers. The confrontation exploded into frantic motion. Jake's heart surged as adrenaline coursed through him, instinct screaming to protect his mother. The officers reacted instantly, stepping forward, guns drawn. The room filled with the sharp crack of commands and the scuffle of feet. Confusion morphed into chaos, as whispers erupted around them. "Get down!" An officer yelled, and Jake instinctively pulled his mother close. The world spun, crashing around them, but amidst the turmoil, Jake caught a glimpse of his mother, eyes blazing with determination. He couldn't let fear take root now. Whatever truth lay ahead, they would face it together. As the urgency mounted and adrenaline pulsed through him, Jake was left with one burning question: would they emerge from this chaos with their lives intact and the truth finally revealed, or would the darkness consume them both? And just like that, the chaos seemed to foreshadow the revelation that loomed ahead, bringing them closer to the heart of their darkest secret. Could the truth really set them free, or was it a trap waiting to snap shut? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he instinctively tightened his hold on his mother. She was shaking, her breath coming in quick bursts. The room erupted around them, shouts mixing with the blare of chaos, but all he could focus on was her. The intruder moved like a shadow, slipping through the crowded room. His face was a mask of maniacal glee and desperation. Officers shouted commands, their voices drowned by the chaos, but it didn't matter. Jake could feel the raw energy vibrating through his skin. "Step back!" One officer barked, pointing his gun toward the intruder. "Is this what you wanted?" The man sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. "You're trying to save your mother from the truth? Good luck." With that, he lunged forward again, and the room crescendoed into a flurry of activity. Jake held his breath, a wild mix of anger and fear surging through him. His mother's hand gripped his tightly, and he could feel her warmth, a flicker of solidarity in the whirlwind. "Stay behind me," she whispered fiercely, her usually gentle voice transformed with fierce determination. He nodded, but his eyes remained locked on the intruder. The man was stumbling now, but it was clear he wouldn't back down. The moment felt poised, like the world held its breath, waiting to see who would break. With a booming voice, an officer shouted, "You're outnumbered. Put down the knife." Jake's breath hitched when he finally noticed the glint of silver in the intruder's hand. Every pulse in his body screamed danger. "You're going to hurt someone," Jake yelled, his voice solidifying his resolve. "Someone? No, I'm going to hurt all of you." The man laughed, a jarring, chilling sound that reverberated through the air. Just then, in the thick of the moment, his mother stepped out from behind him. "No!" Jake shouted. "Get back!" But she stood firm, steadying herself, eyes fixed on the intruder. "You don't have to do this," she pleaded, her voice like a lifeline cutting through the chaos. For a beat, everything seemed to hang suspended. Time slowed, breaths stalled, hearts raced. Jake's mind flooded with questions. What was she thinking? What could she possibly say to change anything? I know what happened," she continued, her words soft but powerful. "I know why you're here. You think this is the only way?" The intruder faltered, just for a second, confusion flickering in his eyes. It was enough to disrupt the tension, to make Jake's heart race even faster with uncertainty. Could his mother reach him? "Don't listen to her." The officer's steady voice broke the moment, full of alarm. "Get back now." But Jake couldn't look away from the shifting expression on the intruder's face. There was a vulnerability behind the madness, a glimmer of pain that threatened to unravel the chaos around them. "Your mother is lying." The intruder's voice quivered, but his grip remained firm on the knife. "She doesn't understand." "What don't I understand?" She stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "Tell me, and let us talk." In that moment, Jake felt the weight of their lives shifting. Everything rested on the precipice. Was this a chance to finally uncover the truth? Would facing the darkness bring them closer to healing? And then, just as suddenly, the room erupted into movement again. Light flashed from the officers, and they moved in. Jake felt a sudden rush, a futile urge to save both his mother and the man caught in his rage. As he took a step forward, his feet planted in a surreal tableau, he felt the depth of choice hung in the air thick like the tension. What would unfold next? Would they discover the truth that lay hidden beneath pain and betrayal, or was it already too late to mend what was broken? Jake's heartbeat drummed in his ears as he waited to find out. The moment exploded into chaos again, as officers surged forward. Their uniforms flashed like beacons against the swirling fear in the air. Jake's legs felt heavy, rooted in place. He couldn't bear to see the panic on his mother's face, the glimmer of determination battling her fear. "Wait!" Jake shouted, his voice cracking as he gestured wildly. "Don't hurt him. Just give us a minute." The officers hesitated, their eyes darting between the intruder and Jake's pleading expression. Time hung thick, every eye in the room focused on the three of them, the boy, the desperate man, and the mother standing unwavering. "I'm listening," his mother said, her voice trembling yet steadfast. There was something in her tone that made the intruder falter again, a flicker of hesitation breaking through the storm of rage. "Why should I trust you?" He snarled, but the knife wavered in his grip. "You've always abandoned me." "Abandoned?" Her voice softened, the accusation striking her deep. Jake felt his chest tighten, an unsettling mix of confusion and empathy spiraling within him. "I never knew you needed me. I thought you were safe. I was abandoned when you chose to forget." His voice cracked, revealing layers of hurt that twisted like barbed wire. A different man emerged from the chaos, raw and vulnerable. Jake's breath hitched. Could his mother truly reach him? An officer stepped forward again, their grip on their weapon tight. "This is getting dangerous." "We can't please," Jake interjected, desperation flooding his tone. "Just let her talk." The officer exchanged uneasy glances with his partner but ultimately stepped back, the weight of the room pressing down on them all. "Tell me everything," his mother said, her words flowing with compassion. "No more hiding. No more lies. We can face this together." The intruder's posture softened slightly, but the knife remained, a barrier between them. "You wouldn't understand, it's too late." "It's never too late," she insisted, her steady gaze brightened with a flicker of hope. "We can work through this. Just let go of the knife, please." Jake could feel the tension crackling around him as if the very air was charged. Would he have to see her hurt? The thought sent an icy shiver down his spine. For a moment, the boy saw a glimpse of the man behind the intruder's rage, an injured soul so twisted in pain it was haunting. There was illness there, a heart breaking, much like his own. Jake tightened his fists, wishing only to reach across that divide. "Your mother left because she thought she was protecting you," Jake said, surprising himself at the boldness. "You think she doesn't care?" "Shut up." The man barked back, but his voice lacked punch. "Let her help you." Jake pressed on. "You're scared. We're all scared. But you don't have to hurt anyone to be heard." Tension swirled in the small space, every heartbeat rushing them toward a precipice. Jake could see the knife wavering now. "Just tell us what you need." His mother echoed, stepping closer. "You are not alone in this." Suddenly, the intruder dropped his shoulders, his breath coming in sharp bursts. Jake dared to hope. But then another voice shattered the moment, a different officer, impatient and forceful, took a decisive step forward. This is not a negotiation. Wait! Jake shouted again, desperation seeping into the corners of his mind. Don't ruin this. Fear ignited in his chest as he watched the intruder's eyes flicker wildly. In that moment, the truth of their lives danced on the edge of clarity or darkness. Was this the breaking point or an opportunity for truth? Would they unravel the knots of pain or tie themselves tighter in the web of chaos? Jake's heart banged painfully in his chest. Everything hung in the balance. He was terrified of losing his mother, terrified of what the intruder might do, but even more so, he feared what might be discovered if they didn't act now. As he took another step forward, he breathed heavily, preparing to face whatever would come next. Would the truth bring them closer, or would it lay their lives bare in a way that could never be repaired? The tension hung thick in the air, a fragile thread binding them together in this moment. Jake's heart raced as he locked eyes with his mother. He could see the flicker of fear mixed with resolve shining in her gaze. This was it. They were on the brink of something monumental, and it felt like the world was holding its breath, waiting for the truth to spill forth. "Mom, please," he urged, his voice breaking. "Just tell him. Whatever it is, let us face it together." The intruder's grip on the knife faltered for just a second, uncertainty creeping into his gaze. "You think you can help me? You're both just kids playing at a family. You don't know what I've lost, what's been taken from me." "Then let us in," Jake replied, his voice steady. "We've all faced loss. More than you know. Don't you see? We can help each other. But you have to let go of the anger first." For what felt like hours, silence draped over them like a heavy blanket. All eyes were on the intruder, his breaths ragged, his expression twisting between rage and vulnerability. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that inside this man, there was more than just darkness. There was pain. Pain that mirrored the wounds they all carried. "Let her talk." Jake pressed again. "Just hear her out." Sensing movement, the officers shifted warily, but somewhere in that tense standoff, they began to understand that this was no ordinary situation. The emotional stakes ran high, and any wrong move could tip the balance into chaos once more. With a deep breath, Jake's mother stepped forward, her eyes locked on the intruder's. "I was scared too," she said softly. "I thought hiding the truth would protect you, but it only made things worse. We can face our mistakes together. I never meant to abandon you." The intruder flinched, anger still flickering in his eyes but softened with confusion. "You think revealing the past will magically fix everything?" He shot back, his voice cracking. "No, but it's the first step," she replied, her voice firm yet gentle. "We've all made mistakes. We can't change the past, but we can start fresh. Please, don't let fear win. Let us help you." Jake took a step closer, pulling in the courage swelling inside him. "Together," he echoed, heart pounding. "We can create something true from this mess. Don't you want that?" The knife wavered further as thoughts raced behind the man's eyes. A brief moment hung in the air, a flicker of realization or acknowledgement. A chance for something new. But just as hope began to blossom, the urgency of the officers rushed back into focus. "Please, step away from her," one officer commanded, voice hardening. Yet, Jake's heart urged him on, desperation fueling his resolve. "Wait!" he yelled. "If you move, you might ruin this." The officer hesitated, reduced to a moment of weighing the immediate threat against the possibility of saving everyone in the room. Then something shifted in the intruder's stance. It was subtle, a slight relaxation in his shoulders, a softening of his clenched jaw. "You think I'm worth saving?" he questioned, vulnerability breaking through his bravado. Jake's heart swelled at the opening before him. "Of course. We all are. It's never too late for any of us. Please just put the knife down." It was as though the world laid itself bare in that moment, and uncertainty danced between hope and despair. Then, with a shaky hand, the intruder lowered the blade, clattering it on the table. Jake felt a mix of relief and disbelief surge within him. The silence that followed was almost deafening. The officers, though still tense, breathed slightly easier. The storm they had feared might explode around them seemed to quiet, if only for the moment. Jake's mother stepped forward, her expression a mix of pride and love. "Thank you," she whispered to the man, tears shimmering in her eyes. "You've made the bravest choice." Clarity broke like dawn as he finally turned, eyes glistening with the weight of everything unsaid. "I just wanted to feel seen. To matter once more like I used to. We matter to each other," she said, reaching out a hand to him, bridging that chasm. "Built on silence and fear. But we can't hide anymore. Not from each other, and certainly not from our reality." In that small kitchen, amidst the sirens and the weight of pain, a connection sparked between the three of them, broken yet beginning to heal. It was the first step towards something new, a fragile but radiant thread woven between shared truths, the start of a family relearning to trust. As officers guided the intruder away for questioning, Jake turned to his mother, feeling the bond between them strengthen with every heartbeat. "Are we going to be okay?" he whispered, letting vulnerability surface. She nodded, cupping his face in her palm. "We will, Jake. Together, we will find a way to rebuild from this." Outside, the sun began to break through the clouds, illuminating everything that had been sunk in shadows for far too long. Jake could feel hope blossoming anew, ready to embrace whatever came next, ready to uncover the transformation in their lives waiting to be revealed. Life would not be easy, but they would face each battle, old and new, side by side. Together, as a family determined to rewrite their future. And as the sun streamed through the windows, illuminating the beginning of their redemption, Jake knew truth had finally set them free. Now, if you found inspiration in Jake's courageous journey, you need to subscribe now to catch all the heartwarming stories we have lined up for you. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear from you about your reactions and feelings on this ending. Comment below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this transformation. Let us spread the message of hope and healing together.